Hi, my name is Trev. I'm also known as Take an Idea. I'm also Team Subjective Review Writer and also Headphones Hi-Fi Reviews. I'm here today to talk to you about two of my obsessions. The first you already know, the second is running and how to marry the two up. So how can you still enjoy music while you're running? You're going to say to me, well, I love listening to music and I love sitting down and getting away from it all. And I'm perfectly happy with that. So why do you want me to go running and put myself through that hell whilst listening to music when I can do it sat down in my favourite armchair with my favourite glass of wine or glass of whiskey or pint of beer? Well, the reason is simple. Doing that will not keep you fit. It will not keep your heart fit. And it may be that the amount of years you'll be able to spend sat there in your armchair listening to your favourite music with your favourite headphones and your glass of wine and whiskey will be rather limited by the fact that your heart will not be able to take the strain of not being worked properly. Hearts, legs and every other part of the body are meant to be used, unfortunately. It makes sense if we can to combine the two passions of music and running. And we can have the third passion, of course, which is our obsessions with headphones. I'm going to talk to you today about my favourite earbuds for running and how they went from awful to truly great in two moves. I'm talking to you about the HiFiMAN TWS600. TWS stands for Truly Wireless. Essentially what I'm going to talk to you about with the HiFiMAN TWS600s could apply to any in-ear monitor, earbud, closed headphone, even full-size open headphones. It's not always the case that when you've bought something and you don't like the sound of it initially that you have bought a dud. There are things that you can do to make it sound the way you want it to sound. I think now is an opportune moment to talk about running and earphones. I've been running with earphones for 6 years, and for various reasons I've never truly found an earphone or earbud or closed back headphone that really suits what I want from my audio and my running experience combined. The truly wireless earbud, of which the TWS600 is an example of many that are on the market, and I cannot hand on heart say for sure that these are the best truly wireless earbuds on the market because I simply have not listened to that many. However, I have found a way to make the TWS600 sound far, far better than the $79 they are currently being sold for on the HiFiMAN website. Now mind, these originally retailed at $199. They are now down to $79. When I first received the TWS600s and I started using them, I started running with them, and I found that they would come out of my ears. So that was immediate problem number one. Immediate problem number two was that when I listened to them, they sounded quite shrill and quite thin and lacking in bass. However, what I did notice when I was running with them is that the voice or main instruments were very clear and the vocals were very easy to follow, and I could even pick up lyrics that when I was casually listening when I was sat down at home relaxing, I couldn't normally follow. I put them away for a couple of months really, and then I got to thinking, how can I improve these? The truly wireless revolution started pretty much the year before last, and I believe that it is now come of age in that you can put on a pair of truly wireless earbuds and you can listen to decent quality sound while you're running or exercising. The TWS 600s, believe it or not, have a battery life of 38.5 hours. That is because they have a built-in battery which can be recharged by sitting them in this charging port, which is an egg-shaped carrying case as well. So we'll just open that for you. So you just place them in, and you see they go red, that means they're recharging, and they go blue, they're charged. I cannot remember the last time that I had to even recharge the charger case. So that's great. You've got all the battery life you could ever need on the move, and these will fit into pretty much any pocket. The problem was, when I first got them, I didn't like them. I didn't like them because the bass in them was hollow and artificial sounding and very slight, and the mids were too forward in the sound stage, and the treble was sometimes glaring and mostly fatiguing sounding. The tips that I was supplied with were quite numerous, but let's open one. Let's open the bag and take a tip out and show you. The tips are made of a very sort of thin silicone, and they're pretty much different shaped, but all like that. So first of all, I thought, well, if one has to get bass out of a set of in-ear monitors or earbuds, then foamies are the way to go. So foam tips created bass, but the bass was artificial. It was dulling the sound down, and the vocals became too distant and difficult to hear. And the vocals are a highlight of the TWS 600s. The vocals are the main instruments, are very easy to follow even when you're running hard and breathing hard. The other problem that I had with the TWS 600s is simply that they are bulky and they're not exactly the right contour for my ears. No matter what tips I put into these, they wanted to fall out of my ears, which was a concern because there's no wires for them to hang on to. So when they fall out and you're running at speed, well, they're going to continue that momentum. I had two things to overcome. Firstly, the sound quality, and secondly, the fact that they were falling out of my ears. This is how I overcame the problems. Sound quality first was simply a case of finding the right tips. I have many tips, and I felt like I needed silicone to produce the mid qualities in the vocals and keep them easy to follow. I still needed bass as well as the mids. The bass needed to be balanced and not making the earbuds sounding really dull. Silicone was the material I felt that would be the best way forward with that. Maybe a slightly thicker silicone, but maybe with a bit of foam in between the outside of the tip and the inside. And I stumbled across these in my huge collection, and we'll bring that up a bit closer to you. So what we're looking at here is a fairly ordinary looking silicone tip with slightly thicker silicone, but inside is a little bit of foam and quite a thick nozzle as well compared to the HiFiMAN ones. Let me tell you that for my ears that worked. I'm not going to show you the 50 other ear tips that I tried, but for my ears that worked. So it's soft silicone with a foam insert, and I achieved the bass that I wanted, and I achieved the mids and treble that I wanted. The sound quality issue was alleviated, but I still had the problem with, I had a definite better fit than the ear tips that I was using in the HiFiMans that were supplied, but they would still come out of my ears, particularly after half an hour of running when the sweat became just too much for them to stay in. And I found these online. These are silicone wings. So the silicone wings will fit inside the TWS600s. A random search on Amazon, it came up with a match for silicone wings or silicone ear tips, and all that was left for me then to do was to hope that I had the right aperture size so as I could actually get them onto the earbuds, and I'll show you how to do it. So here is the right earbud. So we're going to put the ear wing so as it faces the way of the earbud. And hey presto, I have a set of semi-customized TWS600s. The ear tips I found after a random sort through of all the other spare tips I've got, and the ear wings were, I believe, £4 on Amazon, and they took about 2 weeks to arrive. I ran a mile in the TWS600s, and I ran a mile in some other similar running earphones that I have. The first one is the one I've had the longest, which is a set of Sennheiser running headphones, and these are a cable model. And these are the PMX 686G. I wonder if any of you have a pair of these. And so the fit goes between each ear, and this band goes behind the neck. And this has a volume and pause button and play, obviously. So the Sennheisers versus the TWS600s. Can you see the TWS600 is slightly smaller and therefore slightly less cumbersome? Because of the bulk of the TWS600, the wind noise is more prevalent. However, in every other aspect, sound, these are too bassy and they're too V-shaped. In other words, the treble is a bit fatiguing after a while. These are uncomfortable, they clamp too tightly on my ears, and I've got the world's smallest head, I believe, for a man of 5'9". So although they look comfortable, they certainly lock in really well, but they are actually quite uncomfortable, and the further you run, the more uncomfortable you find them. The next earphone is a Bluetooth model, but with a cable. So we might also almost say old school. So these are the Status BTW T2X. like that. That's the magnets inside them. So we have play, pause, skip and volume on these, and these are extremely comfortable. And again, do you notice the silicone wings? So they're a good fit. They really are a good fit. However, the sound quality does not approach that of the TWS600s, and there is an overall lack of clarity and depth in the sound whilst you're running compared to the TWS600s. Nevertheless, the battery lasts a long time. I can't remember how long, but I'm never going to be running that far. They will run out of battery on a full charge. Finally, I wanted to show you the TomTom music runners, and these came free, believe it or not. I've had to customize these because when I got them, they had really long shells on them, and they were absolutely desperate to come out of my ears. So these now have provided a custom fit to go into my ears. To go on a run with the TomTom earbuds, all you need is this. The TomTom Music Runner 2 has 2 gigs of music storage on it. The sound quality of the TomToms is surprisingly good. The bass is the issue for it. Most of the time the sound is quite light and thin, but reasonably clear. So things like acoustic and classical music is great. Classical music is not the easiest thing to run to because in the quiet passages one can hear one's breathing and the tramping along the road. However, I'm afraid they just cannot live with the clarity and depth of sound of these. And as far as I'm concerned, I've customized the TomToms to within an inch of their lives. I'll put all the headphones and earphones together now. We have the Sennheisers, the TomToms and HiFiMAN. We also have the... I'll put all the earphones together now. So we have the Status Audios, the TomToms, the HiFiMAN and the Sennheiser. The Sennheiser is cabled. A good strong connection both into the phone and also into the ear, but they are uncomfortable and too bassy. The Status Audio have a comfortable fit and a good sound, but it is slightly too bassy and is not got the clarity and definition of the HiFiMANs. The TomToms have clarity and have a good detail to them, but they have a light, thin sound which no amount of customizing has managed to achieve good results with. The HiFiMAN does get quite a bit of wind noise because it's quite a bulky in-ear earbud, but it has depth of sound, it has clarity of sound, and it stays put now, thankfully. But it was not without a lot of trial and error. But for $79, provided you take some of the advice that I've given you on this video, you're going to have an extreme amount of enjoyment. And you never know, maybe this might be your next obsession. Until the next time, have a good run, and I will see you on the other side. Strong, durable, relatively cheap, but uncomfortable and slightly bassy. Status audio, comfortable, a good fit thanks to the silicone wings, slightly too bassy and slightly lacking in clarity. The TomTom, impossible for my ears without customizing. Now they're customized. The sound is slightly lacking in bass, despite every effort, but has a good deal of clarity and definition. But overall is slightly too thin a sound. The HiFiMAN TWS sticks out of the ears, so it attracts some wind noise. However, very comfortable. Great sounding with the right ear tips. Will stay in your ear with silicone wings. Has an amazing battery life. May not be the best value on the market because I simply haven't tried enough to tell you that for certain, but for $79 reduced from $199, this is by far the best experience I've had running. I hope this has whetted your appetite, and I hope this has convinced some of you to get off your couches, put on a pair of running shoes, put on a pair of earphones, and get out there and see for yourself what running and music together can be like. I'm off out for a run now myself, so until then I will see you on the other side.